like to call to order the City of North Ridgeville Planning Commission meeting for March 8, 2022. Everyone please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Secretary, please call roll.
Ali,
Present.
Trotman,
Present.
Swallow, absent. Havens,
Here.
Smollett.
Here.
Members of the administration, Chief Building Official Person.
Here.
Wait a moment, sorry. Planning and Economic Development Director Lieber. Here. And City Engineer Rodriguez.
Here. Okay, has everyone had a chance to review the meeting minutes from our last meeting on February 8, 2022? Is there any corrections at this time? Okay, hearing no corrections, those minutes will stand and be filed. Madam Secretary, is there any correspondence for tonight?
No correspondence.
Okay. Madam Secretary, please call the first application, or the only application, I should say.
City of North Ridgeville, 7070 Ranger Way, PPN 07-00-016-104-230. Applicant Andres Miltars, Architectural Vision Group Limited, 23850 Sperry Drive, Westlake, Ohio 44145. Proposal consists of a new police station for the city of North Ridgeville. Property is zoned R1. And Chief Building Officials remarks. Plans appear well thought out. Suggest address 7070 Ranger Way. Planning and Economic Development Director's recommendations. Show location of ground signs on site plan with dimensions from driveways and right-of-way. Show actual plant species to be used in landscape plan, include quantities. Focus buffer plantings in areas of greatest exposure to neighboring dwellings. Better define how existing mature trees to remain along frontage will be addressed. For example, will dead trees, if any, be removed? Will brush weeds be removed? Landscape plan indicates irrigation provided by owner. Assume no irrigation is planned. Note can be deleted. Consider relocating westernmost pole light closest to residential neighbors to the landscape island across the drive aisle to give greater separation. Provide for pedestrian connectivity between police and fire stations. Ensure infrastructure is in place to incorporate EV charging if desired for the future. And that's the end of the recommendation.
Okay. Is there a member who represents the application tonight?
Yes.
Go ahead, please state your name and address for the record, and then tell us a little bit about your project.
Okay. I'm Andres Milters with the Architectural Vision Group, 23850 Sperry Drive, Westlake, Ohio. And I'm here to present the proposed new police station, 7070 Ranger Way. As you see on the screens, it's a site that is to the south of the existing fire station and to the north of the existing service department. It is a two building complex that we are proposing. The larger building that is to the south of the property is the one that houses the booking area, the suspension cells, and all the facilities that the police use on a daily basis. That building is 21,326 square feet. The smaller building that you see to the north is an evidence storage building to get it away from the daily uses that the larger building entails, because the evidence building doesn't require daily use. So that's used for evidence that's stored for longer periods of time, larger items, stolen cars and things like that. And that's about 7,800 square feet. There were some questions at the pre-planning commission meeting that we did address. We have two ground signs now that are shown, each one to the north of the two driveways. And the renderings will show the design of that. We also have some gates that close off the Sallyport Drive, as well as the drive to the fire station that's at the north. So people don't go into those areas.
Do you mind pointing those out on the graphic up there?
Okay.
Yeah, we have
You ran away.
one up here. Whether it's talking about for the fire station.
It's down there. You got, yep, there you go, oh, right there, right there. Yep.
I can see it well. Keep people from going on the Sally Park, which is one way.
And the signs are the dark elements.
I think the setback was 12 feet from the right away.
Yeah, it's a sign and a sign.
That's what that's at.
And then we'll share the design when we show the renderings that they're shown on those slides.
I have the other gentleman who's up there state his name and address. For the record as well.
I'm Dana Zimmer, also with Architectural Vision Group.
Thank you.
As you can see on the eastern side, the one that abuts the residential neighborhood, we are going to have a berm with plantings on top so that the police station is screened from the neighbors. Up until this point, there was a large pile of dirt and rubble that was stacked along there. So they were kind of protected, but we'll do the same kind of protection, but I think in a much nicer aesthetic way with green plantings and berms instead of concrete boulders, et cetera. Are there any questions? If we can go to the next slide. This slide shows the different areas in the main building, showing the lobby and then the booking area and the dispatch and the offices, detective bureau, and lockers, showers, and weight room, and all the daily instances that the police department needs to function on their jobs. And I may add that the chief has been very helpful to us. We've had a lot of conferences. He's given us a lot of good information, and it's been a good relationship of back and forth. We've offered up things to him, which he's accepted, and likewise, he's given us a lot of pointers and ideas that we have incorporated in the plan. And this is basically the same plan, just showing that this is where basically we're at. It's a dimension drawing as on a way to being a construction document, which will be suitable for bidding once the job is completed. I think hopefully in the early part of June. And this is a floor plan of that evidence storage building. We've got spots for cars there, and then we've got also a dog kennel for the strays that get captured, and then the owners come and collect them later that day or days later. And there's also an evidence processing drying room there. This is basically going to be a pre-engineered metal building just to try and save the costs on the project. As you may or may not know, building costs are increasing faster than inflation, and it's been a real problem. It's been a moving target. So we're trying to be good stewards of the finances and not spend it where it doesn't have the biggest bang for the buck. We'd rather spend it in the big building where the police are every day rather than on the evidence building. But it will have the same elements as the larger building, the same materials and proportions so that it reads like a campus. And that was one of the first things that the chief brought up to us, that he wants this complex to look like part of the fire station. So the whole city service area looks like one complex instead of disparate parts that don't go together. The next one, again, that's just the architectural drawing showing, that on its way to becoming something that can be bid on by contractors. And these are renderings of what we're proposing the building to look like. You can see the materials on the corner of the table there. The brick is the exact same brick that is on the fire station. We took that sample there, and it's a perfect match to the fire station. And we are going to have some small stone elements on the building, and that's what Dana's holding up there. The roofs that are visible both on the porte cochere on the major building and also on the evidence building are going to be a darker gray to try and match the asphalt shingles that are on the fire station. We opted to go with the metal roofs on the police station because it's a better roof than the asphalt shingles, but we still wanted to match the coloring. The lighter color is going to be metal panels that we have in some spots on the main building and also on the more on the evidence building. So again, those colors will tie the two buildings together, as will the brick, which is going to be the identical brick on both buildings. So it'll be a harmonious whole. And there you can see the signs that we're proposing at the two driveways. Again, just a brick structure with raised metal letters on there. And that's another view of the from the north, looking down toward the porte cochere of the police station. And that's an aerial view that kind of shows the whole complex. And you can see that the brick is the same. The color of the metal panels is a little bit lighter than it's actually going to be, but that's part of the electronic way things work out, depending on the monitor and how it's presented. So it'll be a little more harmonious. It won't be quite as white. The large roof that you see on the top of the police station building is going to be a low slope roof. A PVC roof, which is also a quality roof, better than the single ply EPDM membranes. So basically with that, I think that's all the slides that we have. So we're ready for questions.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, there was one thing we didn't address, or there was a concern about Lieberman, sorry.
Do you mind going up to the microphone, please?
The light fixture, I think at the most west side of the property along the drive, there was some concern with the light going towards the neighbors. We looked at moving that, putting it across the drive in the closest island, and that would turn the light fixture the other way, which is not desirable because that would spill even more light towards the neighbor, as opposed to the way it was originally shown, which has a cutoff so the light doesn't go back onto the adjacent property. We also looked at maybe eliminating that light and utilizing two others, but because of the orientation of the drive and everything else, that actually created more light that would go further closer to the property line. So it's shown basically where it was originally shown on previous drawings for the pre-planning meeting.
We did address that.
Yeah, the code calls for a minimum of 1 foot candle, and I believe that level was what, 1.2?
Oh, yeah, the light, yes, it's pretty low.
Yeah, so we're right at the minimum.
And that's still on the property. So.
Yeah, it's a sharp cutoff fixture, it's an LED fixture, which also cuts off light a lot sharper than the old sodium and other light fixtures.
Okay, does any of the commission members have any questions or comments?
I make a comment.
Go ahead, Paul.
I've been in law enforcement since 1975. I've literally been in police departments all over the world. For 5 years after I retired, I was an auxiliary police officer here in North Ridgeville. And we need a new police department so bad. I was in a police department that was built in communist era Romania, which was better than our police department. So this is needed. It's been needed for years. I heard Chief Freeman and Captain Jones give a presentation, I think at our Rotary Club. And he went into great detail about explaining what, I think it was at the Rotary Club, wasn't it, Chief? Yeah. Explaining in great detail the thinking behind what they're doing. And I think this is an excellent plan. It's just needed so bad.
All over too.
It's long.
Thank you.
Chairman, question I have, great plans and all. Is there any provisions to make it easy to expand the station? Because it's going to be needed 20 years down the road or something like that.
Yes, we've kept that area to the south of the building
Can you go back to the first item?
vacant, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, you can see the area to the south of the building and the drive.
Right there, we left the green space where we're taking it all the way up. There's a fence line here. So if we ever have to kick out here, we can kick out there.
We know it's coming.
Yes. Hopefully not a bite.
It's an adult.
It is.
Okay, I have some questions. First question is there a plan for a communication tower or using the existing towers throughout the city?
We're going to Marks. So basically what we're doing is using the.
Chief, do you mind going up and stating your name for the record? Sorry, Chief.
That's all right. Mike Freeman, Chief of North Ridgeville. We're going to the Mark system. So what we're doing is going away from city-owned towers to state-owned towers. They just put up one at 911. So basically, we're working off of state-owned equipment on state-owned towers or state-leased towers, I should say.
Okay, so they're down. So based on that, there's going to be no need for any large.
That is correct.
All right, perfect. Thank you. I know there's a retention basin going in with this project north of the fire station. Is that a wet basin or a dry basin?
That is going to be a wet basin.
Is there a fence around it?
Not at this point.
Would you entertain, due to the fact it's so close to the school, putting a fence around it?
Well, we would, but maybe I can let Mark address that point.
Hey, go ahead. Hi, my name is Mark Spellinger, with KS Associates. We're the civil engineers on the project. And, you know, over our careers, we've designed a lot of retention basins, and fencing is generally not deemed a safety factor. It keeps, you know, I've never seen a 10-year-old boy who couldn't climb it, never seen a mother who could. They don't seem to protect anyone, and we don't really see them on retention basins throughout. It's your project. If you deem you want one, it's fine. It's just very contrary to what we're seeing out there and retention basins everywhere else.
So I assume it has a safety ledge when it's excavated.
Oh, absolutely. If you step into the water, you'll be able to stand up and out of it. So the water drops like 1 foot, and then there's a short ledge around the perimeter of the pond to prevent entry into a deeper section.
And in the beginning, what there was going to be is actually water retention up front. So what we tried to do, instead of doing that, where obviously it's more accessible to cars, children, and that, we're going to put our water where the fire department, we're just going to revamp that. So that one pond takes all the water, and it doesn't have to be water up by Ranger Way.
Okay. Tina, can we go back to that landscaping print with all the, I remember which one that was? Yeah, that's good. So I guess you guys were saying for the buffering of the adjacent parcels, you were putting trees on top of mounds. This print shows basically like arborvitae right up along the property line. So could you clarify exactly what the buffering is going to be?
The buffering is going to be a earthen mound that's going to be about 4 feet high. And then on top of that, it's going to be the arborvitaes and whatever other vegetation the landscape architect has planted there or will be planting.
Yeah, I think that's a little concerned, so. Again, the light will still this way, and also there will be
So,
pine trees.
so based on that, that row of bushes is incorrectly drawn, right?
I'm sorry, it's not correctly drawn.
Well, I mean, it's showing basically that row of arborvitae right on the property line.
This here,
Yes. And the mounds are over.
yeah, actually, that is, you're correct there, those might, you might look at that pulling more forward.
Yeah, I think, yeah, because it's got the back slopes. This,
Yeah.
I mean, because
Either way,
I just want, you know, obviously, we're really sensitive to adjacent parcels. So that's why we want to make sure that the buffering, everybody knows ahead of time exactly what that buffering is going to be.
Their landscape architect's not here tonight, but, yeah, we'll look at that. We may have had a reason for putting it kind of behind the mound, just because maybe if it's on top of the mound, kind of see through the lower parts of the trees. Whereas this, you know, once they get a little taller, you can't see through. You try to see through the trees, you can see the mound. So I'd have to get some clarification on that.
Excuse me, I can also tell you that the way you have it now drawn, that's also a sound resisting specification. Because from what I know of sound, you don't try and bounce it, you try to absorb it and keep on absorbing it through different materials in order to break it up. And I could understand why he did it in that fashion.
vegetation does a good job of absorbing and diffusing sound.
Yep.
It's another reason to love trees.
Now, another question I have, is there any plans to make a connecting drive of some sort over to the service department?
At this point, we don't know what is going to be happening at the service department, so.
I know it's plans are to move it, but also going in that place will probably be the senior center.
Right, administrative is what I believe, even on the bottom, what they're gonna do is mound it up where that fence hits the back of the service department and put arborvitaes along that path. But that certainly could be something that can be opened up at a later date.
Later date.
Yes, which, right.
Another question I have, as far as, now that we're still on the landscaping topic, the auxiliary building, would it be possible to maybe put some additional landscaping along it? Especially when you're driving along Ranger Way, because it's not like the most desirable building.
Well, it's gonna have brick on it.
It will break it in, but sheet metal up above like, I don't know what.
Yeah, and that's,
Yeah.
that could be, and that was at my direction, because the more you put out there, the more that has to be maintained. And obviously, more that maintained goes unmaintained because of the city size and the business of the city. So we try to stay away from other than trees that have leaves, they fall on the ground, have leaves fall on the ground, where you have bushes, a lot of beds, the weeding is extensive. We try to stay away from too much landscaping because it causes the sexton to have to do too much work.
Right, I mean, you already have trees up along there. I was just thinking maybe one extra or two.
Well, I'm all for trees. I'm all for as many trees as you can.
Yeah, and this is obviously, we're maintaining a lot of these trees along the street as well, so it screens it as well a little bit.
Right, now, I noticed they are tree clearing now, so I assume that area is marked, so it won't be cleared.
No, not totally, no, we're just taking out dead trees and trees that have been limbed and saving all the good ones.
Oh, but, I mean, they're mass clearing the site though right now, right?
No, the trees are still there.
Okay, there, all right, maybe I was.
Behind there was been cleared, I mean, the mountain and all that was previous. cleared.
There's
They
wood
were delivered.
project on that property.
Okay,
It's been done there.
oh, that's what it was. Thank
Yes,
you.
it's not in the project.
Okay, all right. The dumpster enclosure, is that gonna match the same construction as the building?
Yes, yes, it'll be brick.
Now, back to the lighting, since this is a police station, runs 24/7, I assume the parking lot lighting's on all the time?
Yes.
Okay. That's all the questions I had. Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, living in the city, business owner in the city, arborvitae, they are beautiful. They hide a lot, they absorb a lot. The deers love them. It'll be a smorgasbord. So, I mean, they call them the green giants, but they're twice the price, you know.
No, I agree with you. My arborvitae's at home.
Like, you
They
know,
got tops.
there's herds of deer. I just watch them eat arborvitae. They, you know, they destroy them at my shop and then
No, that's
come home.
No, I agree.
But that's one thing, you know, talk to the landscaper,
Yeah.
as far as, you know, getting an alternative.
Mhm.
The green giants, that's what they're called, that they're anti-deer, we'll say. They're you know,
They almost look alike.
they
Yeah.
do, but they're twice, 3 times the price.
Right.
You know, maybe like pine tree, you know, something like that, alternative, keep it in the budget. But arborvitae, I love them, and they absorb and they hide everything. But it's a smorgasbord, it's a smorgasbord, so.
Yeah, we'll take a look at the alternative like Scotch pine or whatever, you know.
Looks beautiful, though,
that-
it really does.
Universal.
Okay, is there any questions or comments from the administration? Okay. Okay, at this time, I'm gonna open it up to the general public if there's any questions or comments. Okay, hearing none, I'm going to close the public comment section. Do we have any final questions or comments from the commission members?
One last question. I'm pretty sure I heard correctly, but the roof of this thing does have a pitch to it.
The low slope over the main building?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a 1/4 inch per foot slope,
That's one
That's
thing I
something-
learned. Best roof is one that's got a pitch.
yeah. And then we're gonna have overflow drains and sculptures just in case, you know, there's some blockage, you know, so that things still keep flowing. Don't keep the roof in.
Okay, any further questions or comments? At this time, the chair will entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we accept the plans.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Ali,
Yes,
Brotman,
Yes.
Havens,
Yes,
Smollett.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Is there any other new business to bring before the planning commission this evening? No, hearing none. City of North Ridgeville Planning Commission meeting for Tuesday, March 8th is adjourned. Good evening, everyone.
congratulations. Long overdue. Best deserved.